Okay, welcome back to part 2 of the videos on the small Python addendum. So now we will open a Jupyter notebook on KEKCC. So I think we already completed the first steps here. So we created a new folder, we named it Python test, here it's starter kit. We navigated there for the previous exercise. And this is where we want to start our Jupyter Notebook server. So in order to see the Jupyter Notebook page then in our browser here, what we need to do is this port forwarding, which you should have learned in the SSH lesson. So I'm still here in my terminal with the KEKCC session. So you can see it's CCW01. That's one of the nodes on KEKCC. And now I open another tab here. So I'm back on my home machine. And so we have one SSH session running here. I will create another connection which does the port forwarding for me. So I type SSH and then with this -L option for port forwarding, and you can enter a random number, should be yours. So please make sure it's random. Localhost, and then like normally we choose the same number here again, and then the name of your server. So for me that's KEKCC-U. It depends on what you set up in your SSH config in the SSH tutorial. And you can also add the option -N because we don't actually need the shell here, we just need the connection. So this avoids opening an interactive terminal here. So we press enter. Takes a couple of seconds. You should see some text appearing here, but I think we're good to go. So because of this -N option, we don't get any interactive shell here. Okay, so back here to our KEKCC window. So now we need to open the Jupyter Notebook server. So we type Jupyter Notebook and then we add no browser, simply because by default it will try to start the browser running at the corresponding page, but starting that at KEKCC would mean that all the graphics of this browser would have to be transferred from Japan to your local machine, which is very slow. So what we do instead is using this port forwarding matching. So we don't need to start we cannot start the browser directly from Japan, basically. So that's why there's this option. And we also need to tell it the port which we're forwarding. So this was this 8124. Let's put in 8124. Press enter. And there's a couple of hopefully green messages. And then you see this block of links here. And you can click on each one of these letter 2. So if you click there, it should open on your home machine. And you see that you now got a Jupyter server app. So at this point, we're not going to need the terminal again in this video, so let me instead move this browser window here so we can see the lessons and the Jupyter window at the same time. So we did the first thing here. We went to this directory of ours and then we started the Jupyter notebook. Right, so the first lesson here is that we notice that we have our myfile.py, which we created in the previous lesson here, and we can open it in the browser and edit it there. So this takes a couple of seconds. It's going to open a new tab, and we can just add another line here like this. And then we can click the save icon here. Okay, and it's set auto-saved. Good. So this was the first thing. The second thing is we should create a new text file. So we can go back to this home screen here, click new, click text file. So not notebook, but text file. It's currently named untitled.txt. We name it mysecondscript.py. And we add a couple of lines of Python. For example, just print hello world. Not too creative here. Click File, Save, and that's it. You see we have a second file here. So now we're supposed to verify that we indeed created a second file and change the contents of the first. It said open a new terminal with the connection to KEKCC, which you should also have to do because our current window is blocked by the Jupyter notebook, right? Can't type here. So we simply go to connect to KEKCC again, go to this folder of ours, which unfortunately is named differently in the tutorial, do ls. We already see the second script. We can do cat second script. This works. Cat first file. We see that we added the new line. Good. So we did both of these exercises here. And now we are going for a notebook. So back to the browser, we click new and then Python 3 Bell 2. So if it just says Python 3 here, nothing with Bell 2, then probably something went wrong. Okay. So name it my first notebook. And you should have read everything that's written here. So Jupyter Notebook operates on these kind of cells. So you can enter something here like 1 + 2, and then to execute them you hit Shift Enter, not just Enter, which will just be a new line like this, but Shift Enter. And the last output will be printed. The first thing you should do is do this user interface tour. So click on Help, User Interface Tour, and it will walk you through a lot of buttons here, but I'll not do that here. You can do it yourself. So we already wrote a couple of lines of Python in a cell of the notebook and executed them. Right, you should also be aware that it's easy to get help there. So if you want to have help on a function, you can just type the function and a question mark, and you get the small pop-out box on the bottom. And there's probably a lot more to learn. Right now, perhaps what I'd want you to do is try if you can import BASF2. It should take a couple of seconds. And if nothing happens, that means it works fine, which is good. You should also try to import pandas, which will be used in the next part of the tutorial. That also works well. Perhaps one more thing, if everything gets stuck here or it says the kernel died or something like that, there's this kernel and then restart and clear output button, which can come in handy. So it will remove all the outputs and everything is marked as not executed. You can simply start from the top again. Good, that's it.